going on, my boys, and in some cases, gals? Welcome to a brand new video. Today, we are going to be looking at something of a meltdown that's been going on. Tucker Carlson has given a speech, and he absolutely cooked Trump. It is gigantic drama. Insane beef going on. I saw Asmongold reacted to some of it. I didn't watch the whole interview. I just saw like a clip or two. But I'll be real. A lot of people don't understand Tucker Carlson. So I'm going to be giving a deep dive on, we're going to react to the speech. We're going to look at the giant Trump versus Tucker Carlson debacle. They're fighting over the Epstein files right now. Tucker has been, let's just say, done some really cool things and some really less than cool things. He apparently goes off on the Epstein shit, and so we're going to do a deep dive right now. But I have to, before we do, give you a little background on what's been going on with Tucker Carlson. So first, I have to show you my favorite Tucker Carlson clip of all time, all right? I need to make this clear. So Tucker Carlson used to be a host on Fox News. He ended up going independent. Some say he got fired, some say he left. Whatever, I don't care. The point is, this is the greatest Tucker Carlson clip of all time. And let me make this clear. This thing that I'm about to show you is not satire. He is 100% serious.
Nope. In my bed at night, and I got attacked while I was asleep with my wife and 4 dogs in the bed and mauled.
He was attacked and mauled while he was in bed with his wife and 4 dogs. Now, I know you're probably wondering, oh my God, I hope he's okay. I wonder what mauled him. Physically mauled.
In a spiritual attack by a demon?
Yeah, by a demon.
Tucker Carlson was officially physically mauled by a demon. So listen, thank God he still has all his limbs, but for a man that was physically mauled by a demon while in bed with his wife and 4 dogs, I'm really glad he's still with us today. Let's just say, bro, he oscillates from absolute, based to the opposite of based. Listen, I'm just saying, who knows, it might have been a demon, a libtard demon, one of the rare libtard demons that come out there. Now, anyway, Tucker Carlson made a couple of tweets that I want to show you that really lead up to the current Epstein drama super freaking well. So, to be first, Carlson made this tweet. Whatever you think of tariffs, it's clear that now is the worst possible time for the United States to participate in a military strike on Iran. This was before the military strike on Iran. We can't afford it because thousands of Americans will die and we would lose the war that follows. Making it clear, this did not happen, okay? Thank God he was very wrong, okay? Listen. All right, we cannot afford it. Many thousands of Americans would die. Thank God not a single American died. And we would lose the war that follows. This has got to be the greatest cope of all time in the history of the world. Now, Trump actually got a little bit pissed at Mr. Tucker Carlson over this because Tucker Carlson was a really big Trump supporter. However, Mr. President made a diabolical tweet. Somebody please explain to kooky Tucker Carlson that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And Iran does not have a nuclear weapon because they obliterated the shit out of them and it was beautiful and everyone loved it. So now I want to make this clear. There is something of a gigantic beef brewing between these guys, right? Thousands of Americans would die, we would lose the war. That's kind of weird. And then we get Trump calling him kooky Tucker Carlson, you know, in classic tongue-in-cheek Trump fashion. However, you will notice a lot of really interesting things about Tucker Carlson as of late. For example, Tucker Carlson raised $15 million for a new media venture. This is after he left Fox News and he started going independent, with backing from financier Omid Malik, who suspiciously is an Iranian Pakistani billionaire that is suddenly funding Tucker Carlson. All right, that's pretty weird. All right, so an Iranian Pakistani billionaire is funding Tucker Carlson. All right, look. Honestly, I respect the hustle. I can't be mad. I respect the hustle. But you'll notice other interesting things if you keep looking. Like, for example, these were a couple of Tucker Carlson's interviews lately. This is Tucker Carlson interviewing the president of Iran, where the president of Iran, this is after the war, by the way, where the president said, no, when we say death to America, we actually mean death to violence. We love America. And Tucker Carlson is like, oh my God, I'm so glad we're actually witnessing this perspective. And it's like, all right, okay, interesting. All right, this is him meeting I think this is the guy in charge of Qatar, and this is him interviewing Vladimir Putin. And he is super nice and cordial with all of these people, interestingly enough, super nice and cordial with all of these people. But when he interviews United States senators, he goes absolutely hard on them. And I respect it. I think he should go hard on everybody. I actually really liked when he went hard on Ted Cruz. I think he should go hard on everybody. Now, I want to show you an interesting evolution of Tucker Carlson, because I think it's important to note exactly what's been happening before we listen to his speech. I hear it was based, and it might be. I actually like a lot of what Tucker Carlson says, even though I'm a little skeptical about some of the things he says. So this was Tucker Carlson in 2006.
I'm just struck by that in everything you see come from the government of Iran, there is anti-Semitism, which has got to be among the most off-putting things in the Western world. You know, I think what you say is you either stop your nuclear program or we will bring down an earthquake upon you using God's wrath.
All right, so that was 2006.
I do think, I'm sure I'm the lone voice in saying this, I think Iran deserves to be annihilated. I think they're lunatics. I think they're evil.
All right, that was Tucker Carlson in 2012. On to 2025. Modern day Tucker Carlson, what has changed?
Netanyahu says, no, we need to bomb the hell out of them. We need to defeat them like we defeated Saddam and Assad and Gaddafi. We need to take out this evil regime. That's his line.
So it's not about nukes, what you're saying. You're saying it's not about nukes, it's about regime change.
I think for sure.
Ex-Fox News host blasts complicit president for backing Israel after attacks in Iran. He says the real divide isn't between people who support Israel and people who support Iran or the Palestinians. The real divide is between those who casually encourage violence and those who seek to prevent it, between warmongers and peacemakers. Who are the warmongers? They would include anyone who is calling Donald Trump today to demand airstrikes and other direct U.S. military involvement in the war with Iran.
Interesting. The evolution is weird. Now, I'll be real. I don't love Netanyahu. Personally, I have a lot of my personal criticisms with Netanyahu, but him saying that Iran is the bad guys, bro, Iran tried to assassinate President Trump multiple times. This is confirmed by the Department of Justice. Like, what are we doing here? So, the Tucker Carlson evolution is definitely something interesting. Now, another thing that I want to note before we actually dive into his speech, because I think context is always important, Tucker Carlson is very anti-Jeffrey Epstein, which, to be honest, he should be. I am anti-Jeffrey Epstein. I made 3 separate videos shitting on Trump and not releasing the Epstein files. Literally. I'm not even exaggerating. I get comments on other videos saying, why aren't you talking about Epstein? Are you a Mossad agent? Dog, bro, I made 3 videos on it in the last week, okay? What are we talking about? No one's been more critical than me. Holy shit. Now, to be honest, I hate the Epstein shit. It's one of the most disgusting things ever. Protecting sex traffickers and pedophiles, I think, is... It's indefensible. There is no defense for it, and it's gross. And that's why I'm sure I'm going to like Tucker Carlson's speech today. However, this is Tucker Carlson meeting Andrew and Tristan Tate, people that are formally charged with sex trafficking dozens of women, including a minor, all right? He is also charged with renting an apartment to another minor and repeatedly sodomizing her. All right, this is Tucker Carlson.
I'm totally bewildered. I come out and meet you. If I step 1 foot over this line, hey. It's back to jail. Tucker Carlson. Tucker, a pleasure. Tristan.
And there's Tucker, big smile, and he gives this guy the easiest fucking softball interview of all time.
Tate, it's so nice to meet you. Great to meet you too. A huge admirer.
All right, that's Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate.
Wow, man. This is
2 people that are charged with sex trafficking minors. So, listen, pardon me if your voice of reason on Jeffrey Epstein is not exactly the voice of reason that I have been looking so far. Okay, listen, I'm just putting it all on the table, letting you know all of my biases beforehand. To be clear, I don't think that Tucker Carlson is some sort of anti-Semite. I just do think he's a bit of a grifter. I do. So anyway, now that we know, let's watch the actual speech, because apparently this speech fucking exploded. It's everywhere. Asmongold reacted to it, and he basically goes to war with Trump and the Epstein shit. So let's see what we got. I'm sure I'm going to agree with a lot. I'm sure I'm not going to agree with a lot. I think your hate towards the Tates is kind of based off personal feelings. No, it's based off the fact that they're sex traffickers. I think that if you don't hate the Tates, it's because you're a retard. They are sex traffickers, charged with sex trafficking. What are we talking about? Now, to be clear, and I've proven this in a previous video on Andrew Tate, they admit it on camera. All right, so you can actually go watch my previous video on Andrew Tate if you want. We're not doing that again. But yeah, they're charged with rape and sex trafficking.
Thank you. I never missed a Charlie Kirk event because I love Charlie Kirk, and I know Charlie Kirk very well. But I always forget what the walkout is like, and I feel like I'm going to have a seizure. Anyway, thank you so much for having me. This is more people in one place than I've seen since the last Charlie Kirk event I was at, so it's hilarious.
Bro, I love his laugh so much. He does like these Scooby-Doo laughs. It's amazing. Oh my God. Not a Karen. Thanks for the 25 subs.
So I noticed everyone's been talking about Epstein tonight, and I want to kind of differ from the crowd a little bit.
Oh, shit. No, I think the Epstein thing needs to be talked about as much as possible. I think we need to hold the government's feet to the fire.
In saying that, I watched Ben Shapiro yesterday, and no, before you boo me, I thought he made a really solid point.
Bro, no one was booing! So, other random... Okay, all right. I'm going to give you some other lore. There is crazy beef between Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. I don't know where the beef comes from, but there is crazy beef between them. Tucker Carlson keeps saying that he keeps calling out Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro keeps saying, listen, I'd love to have a conversation with you.
By the way, I will say it again because I've said it now about 1,000 times. Tucker has said many things about me over the course of the last almost 2 years at this point. And I've offered him multiple times, publicly and privately, to come on the show or have a discussion anywhere about these topics. That invitation remains open. By the way, I will say...
Yeah, so to be clear, Tucker Carlson keeps kind of evading Ben Shapiro. Now, to be honest, I think I know why they don't like each other. It's because I think Ben Shapiro likes Israel more than he even likes America. And I think that Tucker Carlson doesn't like Israel. So I do think that that's kind of where the divide comes from, for sure. And I think there's, valid points on every side, in every conversation. However, to be clear, this is crazy beef.
He's like, it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, awful take.
Who cares? And by the way, we should trust the government and whatever the bureaucrats tell us. And by the way, it's wrong to ask a lot of unauthorized questions. So I just want to go on the record to say I think that's absurd. And it's exactly the kind of...
Terrible Ben Shapiro take. Saying that it happened so long ago, who cares? It's like, all right, dude. So what? You're never going to bring up the Holocaust ever again? That happened a while ago too, brother. Yeah, crazy take.
Thinking that I personally voted against in the last election. In the last election, I spent a lot of the month of October campaigning with and for the president. I voted for the president.
All right.
I never vote for anybody generally. I know they're always telling you, you must vote or you can't have an opinion. Oh, shut up. I don't like to vote. And
I like to vote, by the way. I have a really hot take. I absolutely think that you should be voting for the lesser of the two evils every time. I think that it's always going to be up for debate between the red satanic pedophiles and the blue satanic pedophiles. But listen, man, vote for the less evil one, man.
No, but I did vote this time. And I don't like to vote because I don't believe in any of them. And this time I really felt like I know Trump well. I love Trump personally.
I think we gotta undo the entire voting system. Democracy has kind of failed. I'm not gonna lie, democracy kind of failed. We gotta rehaul some of this shit. We gotta change the parameters for voting.
And what we were looking at was just so awful and totalitarian and stupid. And it wasn't even the arguments that I disagreed with from the Kamala Harris. It's weird to even say her name now. Who was that exactly? It was like a bad dream.
Kamala Harris was the demon that mauled him in his sleep.
But it wasn't even so much the arguments I disagreed with, though I definitely disagreed with the arguments. It was the style of argument that drove me completely bonkers. Summarized most crisply by "shut up, racist."
True.
Whatever you said, it was "shut up, racist." And it's like, but wait, first of all,
I'm making very valid points here. What do you mean? 12% do commit 50% of the crime. I'm joking. Yeah, but you know what I mean?
I'm not a racist, but that's not even the point. The point is, I just told you what I think. I just asked you an entirely legitimate question. Mostly, what the hell are you doing? And rather than answer it, you didn't pay me the respect that you would a human being. You treated me like a slave or an animal by telling me to stop barking. Shut up, racist.
He's right. He's so right, by the way. He's completely correct. When people shut down the questions without engaging in the point that you're trying to make, even though you're doing it in good faith, that is how you know you are dealing with a dictator. It really is. It's like when you ask some shit like, "Hey, I have a question. I don't think trans people should be in women's sports." And the response is, "You're transphobic. We're going to get you fired from your job now." And it's like, yeah, nah, that shit's crazy.
And I won't put up with that because I'm not a slave or an animal. I'm an American citizen, an adult man who pays his taxes.
True.
So
I put my pants on one nipple at a time like everybody else.
I ask people questions for a living, and very often I get answers that I don't care for, that I disagree with, that I think are stupid. But at least they're answers. At least the person responding is treating me like a human being with a soul created in the image of the Creator. He's paying me the respect that every human being is due, When you ask a direct question to someone in charge, you are due. That person is morally bound to give you an answer. He's not bound to agree with you, but he's bound to stop and answer your question. And the left never did that. They would dismiss you out of hand. You are not worth listening to.
Not only that, but they would ban you. I feel like that's the worst part of it. They would ban you as well. They wouldn't just dismiss you.
Be quiet. And that's, of course, where the impulse to censorship comes from.
Yep. 100%.
It comes from the belief that you don't deserve to speak because you're not fully human. They own you. And that,
okay, I don't know about the not fully human thing. But yeah, the rest of it.
That's what I voted against above all. I mean, I voted against a million different things that I hated about the last administration. Their insane desire to start pointless wars around the world.
Okay, listen. I do think that the last administration was shit for a million reasons. I think they didn't do a good job preventing wars, but I don't know if they started wars. I just think that they were complete failures when it came to preventing them.
Total unwillingness to protect this country domestically, to protect the people who live here, to protect the territorial integrity of the country, bringing in tens of millions of people illegally, giving them free stuff the second they get here,
yeah, that shit's crazy.
Making a mockery of citizenship.
Yeah,
I hated all of that. I hated all of that. But the thing I hated most was their total unwillingness to answer any question about why they were doing what they were doing, because it was just too insulting. And every single time I would just feel like raising the middle finger and screaming obscenities, which is not an adult response, I'll concede, but that's how I felt.
Fair enough.
And I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean, the guy was some weird sex freak who was abusing girls. We knew that. But the fact that the U.S. government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up.
He's right.
Was too much for me.
Yeah, and that's basically what Trump kind of did. I mean, listen, I get the connection he's trying to make. He's trying to make the connection that you're not allowed to ask questions. They'll shut you down and call you stupid. They'll spit in your mouth and slap you across the face at the same time. You know, I do understand where he's coming from. They're not banning people for talking about Epstein. They're not getting people fired from their jobs for talking about Epstein. Like you would if you were talking about, let's say, transgender stuff, right? Like, for example, if you misgender somebody, they'd call you a transphobe, they get you fired from your job, they'd ban you from YouTube or Twitter, they would silence you, they would effectively fuck you for life. Whereas asking questions about Epstein, everyone is doing it, and no one is getting any form of pushback for it. So, while I don't think it's the same level of censorship, I do think it's dishonesty. Because we all know that Epstein was doing shit, and we all know that the government is lying to us when they say that there were no clients. Yes, Jeffrey Epstein, I can't believe he committed suicide when he was actually innocent of everything.
And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just say really quickly, because I was so mad about it that I think I found out part of what's going on. I think we are going to find out more.
I agree.
And I think the truth, for whatever it's worth, in case you're interested, is that the DOJ didn't release lots of incriminating sex videos with Epstein and his billionaire pals because they don't have them.
I don't think that's true. I think they have them.
They don't have them because when the original search warrant was...
Oh my God, I know what he's going to say. Because obviously it's all in the possession of Israel. Israel has all of it. It's a Mossad operation.
Served 2007, I think, possibly 2006, I think 7. It was basically designed to protect Epstein. The search warrant was written in such a way to make sure that the feds never got their hands on the actually incriminating evidence. It's another way of saying the cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that.
True.
The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered.
Great questions. And I mean, my opinion, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Jeffrey Epstein worked very closely with the FBI in 2006. He had connections to the CIA. Ghislaine Maxwell's dad had connections with Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service. Also connections with MI5, the British Secret Service. I think that this was a giant operation that was done, I think, organized by the CIA primarily, but also with a lot of different secret services throughout the world that came together. That's my opinion. I do think so. I think it's bullshit to say that they didn't have the files. To say that, oh, the government, they don't have the files. They really think that everyone's innocent. Yeah, all right, no. Absolutely not. They absolutely have. Come on, dude. Come on, Tucker.
And I think it's entirely fair to ask them. And it's not adequate to say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas. I'm not going to put up with that answer.
You're right.
I don't care who gives that answer.
You're right. That Trump response was the worst response he's ever given to anything in the history of his press conferences. Him saying, "Why are we talking about Epstein when there are people that died in Texas?" Bro, what are we doing here? You're asking me about a pedophile that I knew? There's literally a genocide happening. All right, dude.
That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American.
I think it was American. He had connections to the FBI and the CIA. I think the CIA kind of runs everything that's going on in the world at this point. Oh, he's going to say Mossad. I know it already.
And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan?
Yep.
Where did all the money come from?
That's some bullshit.
And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed
That's how it all, every time, everything is Israel. Now, I'll be real. I do think that the Mossad did have a part of it. I really do think so. However, I do think that it's the CIA as well, if not more. But it's like, how is everything always Israel? Like, I respect if you're going to say Israel did a lot of things wrong. I think Israel did things wrong, for sure. But everything, bro, everything. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, Israel is tricking America into going to war. And Israel got Trump to bomb Iran. And Israel is secretly setting up sex trafficking operations. Come on, dog.
Thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that.
Okay, I wouldn't say it's anti-Semitic, but it's probably anti-Israel if there's no evidence to connect Jeffrey Epstein as a Mossad agent, but you still say that it's Israel that did it. I do think that's anti-Israel. Now, you have every right to be anti-Israel. Don't get me wrong. But that without a doubt is. Now, to be honest, there was like this famous Jeffrey Epstein meme from a while ago. Like this was in June 2024. I remember when this article came out. Jeffrey Epstein boasted about being a Mossad agent, just like Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, according to bombshell claims from ex-girlfriend. Ah, yes, because every Mossad agent goes around boasting about how they are Mossad agents. Absolutely. What a fantastic strategy. Yes, absolutely. Hell yeah, dude. Right, of course, Jeffrey Epstein is going out boasting that he's a Mossad agent. So, realistically, I do think that there is definitely Mossad involvement, just like I think that there's MI5 involvement, but I do think this was spearheaded by the CIA. That's going to forever be my guess until I learn something otherwise.
Spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things. Murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting U.S. president.
Yeah, right.
It's got a whole trail of crimes.
Weird. I mean, didn't they also the CIA was also known to do like sex trafficking operations. Aside from Epstein, they also, here, let me see if I can actually find this. Was the CIA ever tied to sex trafficking operations? Like, I'm pretty sure this was a thing that was confirmed at some point. Faced allegations of involvement in various illicit activities, including drug trafficking, human rights abuses. Direct evidence! All right, of course not, obviously. Right. All right, yeah, drug trafficking. We got sexual abuse allegations. We got Epstein and CIA speculation. All right, of course. You know, again, ultimately it's conspiracy theories because these people are literally the fucking... They're the government. They're the deep state. They're the ones that's running this whole shit, man.
That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here.
Fair enough.
Criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes...
Yeah, like, here's the thing. I agree, but you have to know when the agency does something. Again, I think that Mossad had their fingers in these pockets. I just think it's primarily the CIA. But bro, like, listen, I wish there was evidence because I want to know the truth. You can't just be like, listen, criticizing a government does not mean I hate the country. Now, anyway, I have no evidence, but this country is blackmailing and raping children. And it's like, all right, you make a good point.
It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen. You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave.
You're right.
You're a citizen.
True.
And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interests.
He's right. He's completely right. If it does come out that, Israel was actually managing all this behind the scenes, I will be disgusted. I will be absolutely disgusted. I just don't know if there's any evidence of that right now.
That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden.
True.
And
He's
yet
right.
all of us have trained ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow.
To be honest, I think it's a lot of coping. I think everyone copes that Epstein isn't being managed. Is it being managed by their country or governments that they're connected to? It's like, listen, man, I don't want fucking Epstein to be a CIA operation, man. I do not want it to be a CIA operation. Oh my God.
But that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house.
Yeah, just like you had the Prince of England living in his house. Like, it's true. Ehud Barak was a former Israeli prime minister who went and knew Epstein really well, all right? He was a former Israeli prime minister that was seen at Epstein's house. He was beaten by Netanyahu, okay? Now, that said, okay, to be clear, I do think that's disgusting, and that's why I want to see the list, and if he's on the list, bro should meet my wood chipper, all right? However, you have to realize the Clintons were there. There's a portrait of Bill Clinton in Epstein's living room. The Prince Andrew from the royal family in England was like besties with the guy. Every royal in every fucking country had connections with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this isn't evidence that anyone specifically controlled him, listen, Tucker Carlson's been blaming everything on Israel lately, and I don't know, but all I do know is, come on, bro, everything?
You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that.
Well, then they should say it, bro. You can't just be like, my sources told me so.
I've never met anyone who doesn't think that.
He never met anyone that doesn't think that. That's such a good way to pad your credibility. But come on, dudes. I'd like them to say it. I would like them to not be just gigantic wet pussies and actually say it.
I don't know any of them that hate Israel. But no.
Really? You don't know anyone that hates Israel? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, bro?
Everyone feels they can say that. Why?
Everyone can say that. Where is this narrative coming from? Israel is the only country that we can't criticize. Meanwhile, everyone criticizes Israel all the time. I criticize Israel, okay? Dude, what are we doing? I think it's absolutely healthy to have a discussion about this, but I would love to see evidence.
And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know.
I agree.
Did you do this or not?
I absolutely agree with him, though. I absolutely agree with him that if America really believes that Israel might have done this, they should force Israel to answer the question. Absolutely. We are giving Israel money. Israel should not be committing crimes on our soil. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think we should ask him. Again, I don't know any evidence that they're doing this, but I think that absolutely they need to be held accountable. 100%. I fully agree with them on this. It's wild to me when I'll see someone like Tucker go out here and make endless content talking about how Israel bad, and praise Iran all the time. You know, the guys that want nukes to bomb America and say death to America.
And yet everybody has been so brainwashed into thinking that's somehow an expression of hate or bigotry when it's not.
I don't know.
It's a base.
Maybe we're living in different worlds, but I've never seen this as an expression of hate or bigotry. Is he not aware that people are burning cities down in America protesting Israel, like, all the time? Like, this happens all the time.
Fine question that every U.S. citizen has a right to an answer on. What the hell was this? And by the way, if it turns out that it was nothing at all, that somehow Jeffrey Epstein really did earn $165 million giving tax advice to somebody, which is, for the record, a lot more than most people pay their accountants, and that none of this was actually a foreign intel operation.
Bro, why foreign? Why is he so focused on foreign? There's like overwhelming evidence that he has connections to the CIA. Why is this not even like a thought process of his?
And that there was no blackmail involved, that actually Bill Gates was just hanging on the island because the weather was especially good. No one was videotaping.
No, he was a generational pedophile. And he was, out there getting, in my opinion, famous people to sleep with them, likely for blackmail purposes. I just want to know what it was.
Doing anything immoral or...
One thing we could say, I don't think it was Canada. I think Canada's innocent. I don't think they have the capability, to be honest, of pulling one over on us.
Legal, and then that was used against them to get them to obey. If all of that is false, then just tell me how it's false. But don't call me a lunatic. And when Fox News runs a piece, as they did yesterday by Hugh Hewitt, saying that anybody who's got even more questions about Epstein is some kind of nutcase with an unhappy personal life, who's spending too much time on Twitter.
Bro, someone just, speaking of people with unhappy personal lives on Twitter, someone just sent me this crazy fucking compilation.
We're talking about isolationists, the obsession with Israel. Why is...
This is Senator Ted Cruz.
Israel...
Oh, I don't think I'm obsessed with Israel.
Okay.
All right, so he's not obsessed with Israel, he says to Ted Cruz.
Israel.
Israelis, that Israel.
For Israel.
Because Israel lobbied Israel's for Israel.
Is this a 6-minute compilation of him saying Israel with all of his guests? Okay, whatever. All right, dude. Okay, all right, bro.
In the fervid fever swamps of conspiracies. Up yours, buddy. Why don't you answer the question then? Don't let anybody insult you, anybody, and I mean anybody, ever get away with insulting you instead of answering a legitimate question.
I agree with that.
Okay?
I do agree with that, for sure. Yep.
And by the way, you will hear certain people say, well, that means you hate the person. No, it doesn't. I've got a bunch of kids. I would never let them get away with that. If I caught one of my kids, smoking weed in the bathroom at my house, and I was like, are you smoking weed in the bathroom? Shut up, racist.
Yeah.
You hate me. No, you're my child. I don't hate you. Answer the freaking question. Were you smoking?
Yeah, but you see, the difference is people in the government hate us. They actually do hate us. So, I think they're a lot more comfortable not asking any questions because they do hate us. Yeah.
Weed in the bathroom or not? I'm not the criminal here. You seem to be. So I just think it's really important to get into that headspace. And even now, when people talk about this topic, I can...
Nux, but you insult and laugh at people? Yeah, but not when people are trying to ask me genuine questions, all right? I insult and laugh at people because I think calling people retards is important to society. Societally speaking, the world is healthier when we can call retards, all right? That is not the same as me shutting down people that ask me genuine questions.
Promise you, since I spent all day.
For example, I do think that you could definitely ask the American government or the Israeli government, where is all of our money going? And then Israel could provide, let's say, the weapons that it spends the money on, for example, to conduct war or whatever. Or stuff like that. I think these are genuine questions. If someone would say to Israel, where's the money going? And Israel said, you anti-Semite, I think that is absolutely a disgusting answer and should not be taken seriously at all. Now, they don't. I think it is very clear. They actually do mark down where the money goes. But that's not the point. That is not the point. The point is you should never shut down a genuine question with just a stupid answer. Literally. And it happens all the time, by the way. It literally happens all the fucking time. It's like, you ask people why is there more crime in black neighborhoods? If the answer is you're racist, well then, quite honestly, fuck you. Fuck you. I'll find my answer somewhere else. Who knows? Maybe Nick Fuentes has a different opinion. I don't know. But now that you didn't give me an answer, I'm going to have to go and decide to do a deep dive somewhere else where we might not like what I find. And it's absolutely despicable shit that people have been getting away with this forever.
On the phone yesterday on this topic with informed people, they're whispering certain words. And I'm like, why are we whispering? Why should I be ashamed as an American about wanting to know what the hell that just was? Why should I be embarrassed?
True.
I'm not the bad guy here. Why should I be embarrassed to ask what's in this war for us?
With Iran, it's because they tried to assassinate the president of the United States twice and tried to develop nuclear weapons that they said that they were going to be using to kill Americans. They've also killed 1,000 Americans. So I do think that he's a little bit bad faith when he's like, what's in it for us? When there absolutely is reason why Trump bombed the Iranian sites.
Gotta go to war, shut up. You're a bigot if you don't want it. First of all, I'm not a bigot. But second, that's kind of not the point. The point is, What's in it for us? Why is this a good idea? Shut up. And
he is right, though. That he is absolutely right when with the sentiment that he's saying, that we have to know the reasons for why we do things, and we have the right to ask questions.
Exactly the style of argument that I voted against, and I will never accept it. I don't care who does it. I will never accept that. Give me a legitimate answer, a reasonable answer, a sincere answer, a good faith answer. We may disagree. You may say, as a good friend of mine who's like totally deranged, but a good person, said to me yesterday, Iran is the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Reading the talking point.
I mean, that's true.
That apparently everyone at bumper stick.
Oh my God, you've got to be shitting me. What, you don't think so, bro? Wait, you don't think that's true? Of course not. He just had an interview with the Iranian president. Of course. Of course.
That is for sale somewhere, I guess.
What are you saying? They sponsor the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas. Between them and their sponsors, they've killed thousands of people.
And I'm like,
including Americans.
Okay. I don't even know what that means exactly, but how many?
I know what that means. It means that they're arming and paying terrorists to kill Americans and Israelis and anyone that they don't like. I mean, Hezbollah contributed to the deaths of 650,000 people in Syria, for example, and they are sponsored by Iran. This is shocking.
How many Americans have been killed by Shia terrorism in my lifetime, which is 56 years? I can't think of any. I'm sure there have been.
Shia terrorism? Okay, I feel like I have to school you on this because a lot of people might not be aware of this. This is crazy that he's going down this route. So the Shias are it's the majority Muslim group that is in power in Iran. The Houthis, for example, are Shias as well. However, the Iran actually, they pay other types of Muslims, extremists in the Middle East to be terrorists on their behalf. Like, for example, Hamas or Hezbollah, who are not Shias, I think. However, they still sponsor and pay them and arm them and train them to carry out their dirty work on their behalf. So, pardon me, but if Iran does sponsor Hezbollah, and Hezbollah has killed hundreds of Americans, then in my opinion, yes, you point the finger at Iran for sponsoring the terrorism that killed hundreds of Americans. That's my opinion. Yes, absolutely. I don't know why he's saying it like he's so surprised.
In some in the United States, there have been Shia terror attacks sponsored by Iran in the U.S. I can't think of any. There was 9/11.
Only in the U.S.? That's the only one that matters? Not killing Americans out of the U.S.? Like when Hezbollah killed 247 Marines in a base in the Middle East? Like, I don't know why we're going down this route.
That was a Sunni terror attack. And
except, dude, why are we doing this?
Then there's the drug epidemic, which has killed more than 1 million people during
True. And what?
That same period.
True.
People I know.
Right.
My next door neighbor's kid.
That's horrible.
Dead. People. A bunch of people I know have died. And a bunch have been totally screwed up and taken out of life, basically. Their lives have been hollowed out. They're husks.
Yeah, so thank God Trump fortified the border and is preventing drugs from coming into the country and deporting as many people as possible. What? Where are you going with this?
They've been totally destroyed by drugs. That's the reality that I live in the United States.
Yeah, and Trump literally sealed the border. There were 0 people that got into America illegally over the Mexican border in the last month, 2 months. Like, what? Yes.
So you're telling me Iran is a bigger threat than the people peddling this garbage?
But there are allowed to be 2 threats, right? Like, I don't understand what we're doing. You're allowed to have 2 threats.
I don't think so. Not where I live, it's not. Oh, shut up. And the person literally said, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Disagree with what? What are you even talking about? But at least he gave me an answer. He didn't say, oh, you hate so-and-so. He didn't go immediately to motive. Okay, so this is always the tell. This is when you know you're dealing with someone who has 0 interest in getting to the truth of the question and instead is trying to make you be quiet in order to roll over you and make you obey. And the tell is when they go immediately to motive. Well, you just hate some group.
I mean, to be honest, I agree with every sentiment he has said so far. I just feel like his conclusions are all wild. It's like, why are we stopping Iran from getting nuclear weapons when there's literally fentanyl entering the country? Well, you see, we could in fact deal with both of those things at the same time. I don't think the B-2 bomber was currently too occupied with Mexicans to deal with Iranians. Like, it's shocking when you make a take like this.
Or you're taking money from some other group. And neither one happens to be true in my case.
Okay, well, that is not true. He did, in fact, take money from other groups. Like, that is a known fact. I even showed that earlier. This was a big point of controversy for him, was the fact that he did, in fact, take $15 million from Omid Malik, an Iranian Pakistani billionaire. As an example, right? This is just as a hypothetical. But, he did take money from places. That is a fact.
But I always feel like saying, well, okay, what if I am getting paid? Or what if I do? I have some kind of creepy bigotry.
True.
Which I don't, because I think it's immoral. God created individuals. Each one knows the hairs on your head. Each person has a soul. No person is seen by God as a member of a group. Each person is seen by God as an individual.
All right.
So I don't like that. And I really don't. I'm not just saying that. And I mean every individual on the planet, regardless of what he looks like or what he believes. That is true of every person. And I sincerely mean that. But even if I didn't, maybe I was some full wacko.
Okay.
And maybe I was taking tons of money from some bad country, one of the bad countries you're not allowed to talk about or like.
What, like Iran? like the country that says death to America? like the one that tried to assassinate Trump multiple times and the one that actually put a bounty on Trump's head just a week ago? That guy?
Qatar!
What was that laugh? Bro!
You're not allowed to talk about or like. Qatar!
Yikes, what is going on, man? What is happening, bro? Qatar!
That's the most hilarious.
Yeah.
Qatar is kind of controlling our conversation. Qatar. Evil Qatar.
I mean, he's making these jokes. However, that's how I agree with him. I don't think Qatar is secretly controlling our conversations. The same way I don't think Israel is secretly controlling our conversations. In fact, I don't think that anyone is really controlling our conversations. I think money gets poured into the country, and I think that money does influence people. But I'm not gonna lie, bro. You gotta realize that's how kooky I think you sound when you discuss how Israel is secretly controlling the world.
I am laughing. I've actually been to Qatar. It's awesome. Never taken $1 from the Qataris or the Qataris or whatever they're called. It's a great country.
All right.
But whatever. But even if I was on the payroll of Qatar, which I guess I can't now, but anyway, even if I was, it still wouldn't make the question any less relevant. Why is this a good idea?
What?
And
yeah, it's crazy that no one in the audience was laughing, bro. And by the way, Qatar, for the record, in case we're curious, Qatar, great country, as Mr. Tucker Carlson has said, great country. Qatar said that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon.
And their refusal to answer that question lets you know right away that you are not dealing with a person of good faith. You're dealing with a propagandist who is trying to control you.
Interesting.
And I would say at exactly that point, that's when you say out loud, I know who you are. This is all fake. You can't even answer the question. You're trying to make me shut up because I'm a bigot, like the liberals did 7 months ago. And that's why we voted them out. So I'm not putting up with that.
I mean, he's right. Here's the thing. I agree with every sentiment and no conclusion. This is crazy.
Voted against this, and I won't tolerate it. So the second point I would make, before maybe taking a couple of your hostile questions, I hope about Qatar, is I was brooding about this today. What about the Epstein story is so uniquely infuriating? And I'll just say, I
think it's the whole protecting pedophiles thing, to be honest.
Never met Epstein, but I know a million people who knew Jeffrey Epstein. It is true that he was around. Everyone knew Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think I was cool enough to actually meet him, but he was just a guy who was kind of circulating around, this rich guy who knew everybody. What is it? And everyone knew he was a creep, but then there are a lot of creeps in that world. Just telling you what you probably know already. What is it about Jeffrey Epstein that's so infuriating to people? So infuriating that it's actually causing seismic political problems, and I hope that they'll address it and it'll get better.
My real hope is that again, this might just be a cope and not a hope. My real hope is that Donald Trump comes out and he's like, listen, the truth is, and I'm going to be transparent with you, there's a CIA operation going on. People are going to face justice, but it can't be right now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That's what I'm hoping for. It's probably coping. I don't think it's actually going to happen, but realistically, this is just a shitty situation, and I think it's completely indefensible to protect pedophiles.
Really do. But what is it? I'll tell you what it is. It's the frustration of normal people watching a certain class of people get away with everything every single time. That's what it is. And that drives me absolutely bonkers. By the way, it's one of the things that bothers me.
I'm not a big fashion guy, but is he wearing a red plaid shirt with a blue suit jacket with beige pants with brown shoes with no socks? Okay.
Me about immigration. As someone who got arrested in Syracuse, New York as a kid because I had an expired driver's license and brought to a cell, I'm watching people come, that actually happened. I have done time. It does change a man. Yes, I joined a gang. But I watch, 60 million people come into the country illegally or overstay their fake refugee status or
60 million. Oh my God, the number. Let's up those numbers.
Whatever. I mean, the whole thing's a scam, and they get housing vouchers and free education.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Absolutely. I think we gotta deport every illegal in the country. Get them out. There, you're illegally. Goodbye.
And free cell phones and plane tickets. It's like, wait a second. Not only are they not getting punished for breaking American law, as I would and have, they're getting rewarded for it.
True.
The unfairness of it drives you crazy. And it's particularly galling in the case of Jeffrey Epstein and the whole constellation of people around Jeffrey Epstein.
True. The people that are somehow too rich to be penalized, too powerful to be punished. And it is insufferable because I thought no one was above the law. That was sarcasm. Obviously, everyone knows that rich people are above the law. But I hoped no one was above the law.
Whom seem to be getting away with scams. And how do you know they're getting away with scams? I'll tell you how, because they're useless and they're rich. So how do you come to a place where some of the least impressive, most useless people who have no actual skills become billionaires?
Oh my God.
How's that?
Dude, if he, okay, you're going to say pre-watch because I know where this is going. He is going to list Jewish billionaires. I'm telling you for a fact. I know it's happening. I know what's going to happen. He's going to be like, what about this billionaire, coincidentally a Jew? And this billionaire, coincidentally a Jew. I'm telling you, man, it's happening.
Not legitimate. And by the way, if you ask this question, at least in Washington, it's like, oh, well, yeah, it sounds like you're a socialist.
It does! You sound like a woke guy. You're going to start complaining about billionaires now? You sound like Bernie Sanders looking ass.
Ooh, sounds like socialism.
All
Okay,
right.
I'm a socialist now. All right. I was a Qatari agent or a bigot. Now I'm a socialist. All right. Leaving aside my committed socialism, can you answer the question? How did Bill Ackman get $9 billion?
Okay, Bill Ackman. I don't know him. But let's see if he's Jewish. Is Bill Ackman Jewish? All right, here we go. All right, let's see what we got. Not detailed. He's a prominent hedge fund manager in New York. Yeah, he's probably Jewish. Let's be real. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, all right. Bill Ackman. Yeah, all right, dude. Okay. Don't want to be clear on his backstory. All right. He's a hedge fund manager. Like, dude, he's fucking hedge fund manager. So you know how he became rich, okay? You know how he became rich. He's a hedge fund manager. He managed people's money and he did really well about it. Like, why is that a useless skill? What, is investing people's money a useless skill? What are we talking about?
Bill Ackman, a pretty impressive guy. I know Bill Ackman. No. Bill Ackman's like well-connected and super aggressive. That's it.
And he probably made billionaires a crazy amount of money. He probably made billionaires a crazy amount of money as a hedge fund manager. Did he just pick some random Jewish billionaire and he started complaining at how he became rich? Maybe it's a coincidence. Again, I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I just think this is diabolical.
And I think, well-connected, super aggressive people deserve a fair living like everybody else. But if you're accruing $9 million just because you're willing to do anything?
I don't willing to do anything. Is he like a rapist or something? Like, I don't understand. Oh, Bill Ackman tweeted about this. Holy shit. I just went to look. Tucker Carlson. Oh, holy shit. Oh, wait, this is a retweet. Oh, God. Wait, okay. So, Bill Ackman, great guy. He supports Trump. All right, great guy. We love him. All right, whatever. Tucker Carlson went on a rant yesterday suggesting that I was in Jeffrey Epstein's constellation of people who've been getting away with scams. His evidence is that useless people have no skills and become billionaires, right? That's bit of a misrepresentation of what he said, but okay. You referred to me as an example of one of the most useless billionaires. This is peak content. Okay, this is amazing drama. All right? All of you guys subscribe because this is peak fucking content. Okay, can you answer the question? How does Bill Ackman get $9 billion? Bill Ackman, pretty impressive guy. I know Bill Ackman. No, Bill Ackman is like well connected and aggressive. Okay, all right, this is a lot. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, flew in his planes, went to any of his parties. Okay, and he explains how he made his money. Holy shit! I ain't reading all that, bro. All right, okay. While useless billionaires are bad, harmful millionaires are worse! That is a crazy closing line. And he is Jewish. I actually used to enjoy Tucker's show on Fox. I thought he raised important issues and an interesting guest. Now he's gone off on some reservation, particularly about Iran, Israel, and the Middle East. Some say his politics relate to where his business funds come from. And some say he just doesn't like Jews. I have no idea what motivates him and why he appears to be a changed man. Blah, blah, blah. That is crazy. Yeah, wow. All right.
No, why we have to pretend that's good?
Why do we have to pretend it's good? Dude, this is the American dream. It's capitalism, baby. As long as he didn't commit any crimes, I don't understand why we're hating on this guy. Man managed to make $7 billion by grinding hard. I don't know why this is a bad thing. Isn't this the dream kind of thing? I don't know.
How did How did Epstein get 4 Gulf Streams? How did he get an island, a massive ranch in New Mexico?
Jeffrey Epstein's a different guy.
The biggest house in New York. Like, what is that? Like, it's
I don't know. Maybe he was some sort of FBI, CIA, Mossad agent. Who knows?
At some point, the basic economics really matter. And they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer. It's bad that everyone else is getting poorer. And it's especially bad that young people can't afford homes. Let me just put a very...
All this is true, but there's like a million reasons because you think that young people can't afford homes because there are billionaires in the country? Like, that is shocking. That is shocking. Especially because Tucker Carlson's like a right-wing guy. Like, I don't understand. Rent control is preventing mortgage rates from becoming accessible. That's one thing that's huge. And another thing that's huge is that, according to you, there's 60 billion illegal immigrants in the country that are all trying to get houses. Doesn't that make the market a lot more competitive when there's 60 million people that are trying to find places to live?
Precise point on this.
I cannot believe Tucker Carlson is here talking about the oligarchy. Like, it's absolutely insane. Bro is talking about the oligarchy, brother. Oh my lord.
Want a measure of how your economy is doing? I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this?
Okay, I know that that's a joke, but like, that is a crazy joke. What is going on? Don't go down the we were on the wrong side of World War II rabbit hole, my brother. What is happening? Bro, the suicide rate in Japan is astronomically high because they're working themselves to death. Thank God I'm in America, not in Japan. What are we doing?
GDP. No, I don't know what even that is. The total economic activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer...
I mean, I can afford a house. I'm 29. I can afford a house. So, first of all, it is in fact true. So, you know, I don't know. Crazy. That's one. And two, and another one that's really important to note is I do think that the housing market is terrible. Okay? The housing market is a nightmare. It really is a nightmare. It is. It's terrible. It's terrible, especially in like California and New York. It's absolutely fucking horrible. However, I don't think the fault of that is because there's a couple of Jewish billionaires out there. I think it has to do with illegal immigration. I think it has to do with the socialism and the communism that people have been pushing in different, especially blue states. Because, by the way, blue states are the ones that you can't afford. You can't afford to live in blue states. You could afford to live in red states. You literally could. How much do you think a house is in, I don't know, random bumfuck nowhere? North Carolina. Like, what are we talking about? Live in Texas, still can't? Well, it depends where in Texas. Not in the big cities, because those are blue.
Answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster.
I agree.
That's a complete disaster.
I agree with him, by the way, but I really don't think it's because of the billionaires.
Why? 2 reasons. One,
all right,
if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile.
All right.
Because people feel like they've got nothing to lose.
Okay.
When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house. It is. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, you know, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village. It's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not going to have 3 kids. There,
you could. You absolutely could. This is not true. You absolutely could. I don't want to be rude here, but you absolutely can.
Can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to. Nobody wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable for young people. And so the only...
I do think I agree with him. Again, I agree with him in a large part. I just don't agree with any of his conclusions. I'm shocked here. Like, I agree with everything that he thinks is a problem and all the processes, but I don't agree with a single one of his conclusions. It's like we're living in different worlds entirely. Maybe I'm just out of touch. Maybe he's right.
The young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents help them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids.
True.
But most people's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree. So that is a national...
He is right. He's right. I think that another problem is the pointless college degrees that are putting people in debt, and they get a degree in underwater chicken tickling and in lesbian tap dance theory. You know, shit like that's not going to pay the bills, for sure.
emergency.
I don't know. I like that we're actually able to have a discussion like this, you know? I think that it's really nice to have a discussion like this. Because I'm definitely learning a lot. I'm learning an entire perspective that I completely disagree with. I don't know. Just the way I see it, it's just not the case.
And I know that there are certain...
The Israeli minister responded to Tucker Carlson? Oh my lord, that's insane. Hold up. Check out Amichai Shikli on X. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh my god, dude. This is great shit, brother. This is beautiful. Oh my lord. I don't see him talking about Tucker Carlson. Tucker? No, I don't see anything. Sorry, bro.
And cable channels are spending all this time talking about, oh, they're about to elect a socialist in New York City, which obviously I'm opposed to it. He's not even a real socialist. He's like a trainee, rich kid liberal guy.
You know, this dude's a communist for sure. He's crazy.
Mom Donnie. He's a fake leftist, but whatever. Why do you think that's happening? One of the reasons it's happening is because...
I think it's happening because the woke people are retarded.
Because normal people with normal jobs no longer believe they can win in this system, and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask, what the hell is going on? How did Bill Ackman get so rich? I mean, he went on...
Why is he on Bill Ackman?
CNBC and talk down Herbalife. Bet against companies by driving down their stock prices. That's what he's been accused of. I'm not accusing him here because he's sue me if I do. I'm just suggesting others believe that might have happened. He's already threatened to sue me for saying that. But there are plenty of people who do that. And I'm not saying even that it should be illegal. What I'm saying is that our leadership class should say something about it and should assign a moral value to it. And if you're getting rich by loaning money to people at incredibly high interest rates, that's something you're going to have to talk to God about. That is not good. That is not virtuous. That's disgusting.
And I agree with that. I do agree that the interest rate shit is gross. I do agree with that part of it. But I don't think that the main issue is that there are billionaires.
The fact that nobody feels free to say that, nobody feels like...
I don't understand. Bernie Sanders and AOC just went on an entire tour around the country yelling about the oligarchy. They have been saying, why is no one... Everyone says this.
You can just say 30% on a credit card? Why is anybody paying a credit card bill?
Well, you shouldn't. You absolutely should not be doing that.
I said to somebody recently, I feel like I'm very moderate and sensible and, well, yeah, that's what they used to call it. It was forbidden. I said to someone recently, we really need a political party where people just it's the, hey, I'm not paying my credit card bill party. And let's just bring down Citibank. Just not permanently.
Oh my God.
Maybe permanently. But what credit card debt is the single biggest cause of human suffering that I'm aware of in the United States. It's not Iran.
Really? Damn.
Iran's not doing that. Oh, you, a tool of the Ayatollah. No.
Okay, but does that mean you want them to have a nuclear weapon? Why is everything so, bilateral to this guy? It's okay, so obviously people are poor. Maybe we shouldn't bomb Iran. They didn't do that. It's yeah, but they also want to nuke us, right?
I'm actually Episcopalian, not Shiite. Not a tool of the Ayatollah. I'm just very committed to observing physical reality and drawing my conclusions from that. I'm what we call a physicalist. I believe in the things right in front of me, the things I can touch and smell. And the people I can touch and smell are suffering not from Iran, not from Qatar. They're suffering from their credit cards and their inability of their kids to buy a house. Yeah. I don't think Dan Crenshaw is sold on this. Dan Crenshaw believes our threats are in other countries. Okay, they may be, but how are they bigger than credit card interest? So I suggested this.
I don't know why we can't literally say that two things are completely true at the same time. We could definitely make two things completely true. I believe in the things I can touch and smell. Also, I was mauled by a demon. All right, whatever. Shut up, chat. All right, chat, shut up. Not the point. Not the point. Oh, my God. Yeah, I think we should definitely be able to pay attention to two things at the same time. I think the ability to pay attention to two things at the same time is awesome. I just find it hilarious that this dude is going to go up there and being our issues are not Qatar. They're not Iran. They're for things a lot closer to home, like Israel.
This person is a really good guy. I was like, hey,
Jews.
Why don't we start, I'm not going to pay my credit card bill party, or I'm not going to pay my mortgage. Because they always say, if the very rich, if you borrow enough from a bank, you're kind of in charge of the bank because they need you to pay them back. So they're totally happy to negotiate terms with you. But if you borrow a little bit...
That's not very accurate, but okay.
...from the bank, they'll just take your house away. So what do people got to...
I feel like that's really not an accurate portrayal of what's going on at all. Ultimately, banks are businesses and they exist to make money. And I think that the entire interest system is disgusting, in my personal opinion. I mean, listen, I'm a very simple man, all right? I'm going to tell you something very controversial that a lot of people are not going to like to hear what I have to say. All right. But to quote, I believe it's Exodus 22:25. All right, listen, to quote something a lot smarter and wiser than I am, bro. Exodus 22:25. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal and charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, return it by sunset, because the cloak is the only covering your neighbor has. What else could they sleep in? When you cry out to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. In my humble opinion, I think that interest is evil. Now, that said, it's done by a lot of people. A lot of people do interest all over the place. That's a fact of life, and it's done for business purposes. Listen, I'll be real here. I think banks are out there to make money. They're not out there to help anyone. God is just incredibly based, it turned out.
Together and just decided, wait a second, 30% interest is a lot, especially since they're pushing credit cards on kids like crack. And I know that conservatives are always like,
but you have parents. Parents should stop their kids from getting credit cards.
Well, it's your fault if you don't pay back the credit card. Yeah, okay, it's my fault, but maybe it's a little bit their fault too. They're pushing this crap on kids. So I say to this guy, maybe just people get together, not like everybody, but just a couple million people are not going to pay our credit cards, and just like bring the bank to its knees, and the CEO weeps on television, they readjust it down a little bit. And he goes, no, that's radical. That's too radical. And I'm like, I don't think I'm very radical. I think I'm like very moderate, super moderate. I hate change. My parents got divorced. I hate change. I like things to be exactly the same every day. I'm not radical. What I am is very worried that if we don't do something...
No. God, someone in my chat just said, of course he hates the banks. The Jews own the banks. Damn, you're so right. No. Okay. All right.
Really soon, we're going to wind up like New York City.
Oh, God. Oh, I hope not.
That there's going to be actual radicalism. And that radicalism will take very unhelpful forms. And you're going to see race and ethnic hatred that's real. And that you're going to see people behaving in hard-to-control ways. If you deny people what they actually want long enough, and instead substitute things that you claim they should want, like bombing Iran.
Oh my
God. I mean, I'm not, whatever.
I don't understand. Why is this such a thing for him? Like, you have to remember, this dude started his whole rant by making this tweet, okay? He made this tweet saying that thousands of Americans will die and we would lose the war that follows. This is crazy, brother. What are we even talking about? Oh my God. Why is everything in exchange for bombing Iran?
Not for Iran, where you spend all day telling me that it's so important that, boys not playing girls' soccer teams or whatever. I agree. I hate the tranny stuff passionately. I think you should keep the boys off girls' soccer teams. But...
What do you mean, but? You realize that we had to fight like hell for that to happen. 4 months ago, that was a pipe dream. What do you mean, what? Oh my God, dude just hates Trump at this point. This is crazy.
I don't know. It kind of feels like you're feeding me appetizers. At some point, I want to look around and see a better country.
Bro, you were literally trying so hard to pull this out of the claws of the satanic fucking shithole that was pushing this on everyone. Bro, they were teaching children to cut their balls off in schools. You don't think stopping that makes the country better? Oh my Lord.
I want to see a country I recognize. I don't want to see people sleeping on the sidewalk. I don't want to see people ODing on drugs. I want to know where those drugs coming from. Why can't you stop it? You've got the U.S. military. Don't you have SEAL Team 6? Like, what?
Bro, they literally stopped illegal border crossings. Trump did that. I feel like he's literally, he's full grift. He has declared a war on Trump. And for things that just aren't his fault at all.
What are they doing today? Don't you have Delta Force? You could give me another segment about how impressive the U.S. military is? I believe you. Why aren't they employed to make my country better? Why are my cities...
Except they sealed the border, right?
City's disgusting. I don't even want to go there. It smells like weed and halal food. And you're lecturing me about how it's a great moral victory that I kicked the boys off the girls' soccer team? Good, I'm so glad.
Yes! Because we're allowed to... I don't understand this guy. I feel like this dude is literally lasered focused on 2-3 things and nothing literally else at all. Everything else doesn't even matter to this guy. I don't understand.
But let's do the real stuff, like making New York livable.
I mean, both are good, right?
And create an economy where my kids can have kids. How about this? How about we just make the measure really super simple? Can my children have without the benefit of the great luck I have had, can they have a roughly approximate life that I had? Or how about just a middle-class life?
Yes, they can. It's hard. You have to work your ass off. But yeah, absolutely. That's why America's the best country in the world.
Can they like get married young, as
Yes,
I did,
they
and like
could.
have 4 kids and, you know,
Yes.
take a couple jobs, work hard and all that stuff?
Yes, they could.
But in the end, it's like, fine. Can they do that?
Yeah.
Or is that like so remote a possibility that you need to tell me that Iran is the real threat? Take my mind off the fact that you stole the money and screwed up my country beyond recognition.
Oh my God, dude, this is crazy. What is happening? What is going on? First of all, Mr. Tucker Carlson, you are not middle class. You are easily in the top 1%. You are way above middle class. That is first. And second of all, and this is more important, what does bombing Iran have to do with fuck? You think that they bombed Iran to trick you into thinking that people aren't poor in America? Like, this is like an actual crash out. It's insane.
So I guess what I would say before I have an actual aneurysm is, unless we say to the people in charge, we are going to determine what's important, you need to listen to us, your voters, about what we actually care about. I'll take a lecture for about 10 minutes.
And that's Jeffrey Epstein? Like, here's the thing. I think that a lot of things could be important at the same time, like stopping Iran from getting nukes, but also Jeffrey Epstein protecting pedophiles. Like, according to you, what is arresting a couple of elite pedophiles going to do for people for their credit card debt? Like, how is it going to help people be able to afford houses if you arrest a couple of elite pedophiles? Is releasing the Epstein list actually going to stop people from overdosing on drugs? The answer to all those questions is no, so why do you care? I don't care about Iran. So that's why his argument is retarded. Like, it's such an obvious grift. He is just so anti-Trump in every possible way at this point. It's like, okay, Trump bombed Iran and, Iran pays me. So I am against that, all right? And now Epstein is doing this and it's from Israel, so I hate that. And why are we bombing Iran when we have poor people on drugs? Oh my God.
I can do that. I went to school. You know, I'm used to sitting there and being like, oh yeah, okay, the Axis powers. That's so important. Thank you for telling me. I can take a lecture for about 10 minutes and they're like telling me Iran is the greatest sponsor of terrorism. Okay, that's great. I hate
it's true.
Iran. Got it. But at some point, I want to pipe up and say, yeah, but what are you going to do about Union Station in Washington, D.C., which is filled with passed out drug addicts with spreading urine stains?
All right, so then why should you ever expose pedophiles that are being protected by Jeffrey Epstein's list? Like, why the fuck should you ever expose those people? Is that really going to help the people in Union State Park from sleeping on benches? Is it going to help homeless people if you arrest a couple of pedophiles? Now, that's why this argument makes no sense, because I think that you need to care about all these things, and every single one of them can be taken care of. I think you have to worry about literally everything, bro. I think you're allowed to look at more than one. This is like the craziest false equivalency of all time. This is like, I cannot believe they're not releasing the Epstein list. Also, they bombed people in Iran when people are starving in America. It's like, bro.
Like, it wasn't that way. I was here. How did that happen, and why aren't you fixing it? And by the way, if you don't even acknowledge it, dude, bad things could happen. Like, wake up. Time is to wake up.
I agree with him that these are important things. For sure. It's just the equivalency that's like Trump bad. He's tricking us by bombing Iran.
Your freaking fantasy world where you think telling the rest of us to shut up is enough. If you keep doing that, you know, this could go in dark directions. So I think it's so important for every person to look around and make your own decisions about what's important. What's important to you? What around you in your life? What do you see in your family, among your friends, in the town that you live in that's going wrong? Those are the biggest problems. Not what some shill on television is telling you your biggest problems are. He can shut up.
True.
But he won't.
I mean, that's funny because he was on Fox News. But you have to realize the comedy of all this, right? It's like leftist media will tell you that the biggest problem is that people are getting misgendered. And then the right-wing media will be like, the country that's saying death to America is trying to develop nuclear weapons. Now, realistically, what's more important, right? Like, what is more important? And he's like, well, none of them, obviously. The real important thing is something totally different.
But look around. What's the biggest problem in your life? And if you're burdened by a car loan or some credit card payment you can never actually make, if you can't afford to make the full payment on your credit card 2 months in a row, that's a crisis, okay?
True.
It's a crisis.
True.
If you're in the hole to DraftKings to a point where you can't pay.
True.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, that's why gambling is bad. And, you know, I look, man, I'm not one to shit on DraftKings a little too much. But listen, I don't think that anyone should be doing any of that.
These
gambling bad
are huge problems, and most of them are money related. And if they're not solved, you're not getting married, and you're not having children, and you're not going to have a happy, fulfilling life.
All right, but another reason why people aren't getting married is because that essentially society is telling you, and the school system is telling you, that getting married is bad. And if you're a woman, you don't need no man. And if you're a man, then you're probably a rapist. And so the man doesn't want to end up getting married, and the woman doesn't actually want to end up getting married, and so they don't have children, and the birth rate plummets. While I do agree that money is definitely a big issue, I feel like there are so many big issues. You can't just boil it down to you can't afford a house. Realistically, and I'm not trying to be rude here, because I know that there are a lot of people in a lot of different financial situations, but if you work your ass off, you could make something of yourself in America. You absolutely could. You can, and you could do that in America. Look, I did that. I wasn't given anything, all right, to be honest. Yes, I got lucky. Thank God I got lucky. But everyone could absolutely do that. Everyone could cook. Everyone could absolutely cook.
Period. And they tell you, oh, it's all about values. Yeah, okay. Values. You can't afford a house? I don't care what your values are like. You're not having 4 kids in an apartment. So you need to be heard on that. And anyone who tells you, oh, shut up, racist, hoist the middle finger and tell them, keep talking to me that way, pal, and we'll punish you. Anyway.
So why do you care about the Epstein files? Like, there's such a disconnect in his speech that I think it's like, you have to be able to notice it, right? First of all, a lot of people could have 4 kids in an apartment. That is a very rich man mentality to say that you cannot raise 4 kids in an apartment. Go to Brooklyn, okay? And you will see every single family is raising 4 kids in an apartment. All right? That's one. And 2, and I think this is important to note, there is an obvious disconnect, a very, very obvious disconnect in his entire speech. He's like, don't let anyone not answer your questions, which I think is valid, which is why the Jeffrey Epstein thing is so bad, but also do not worry about things that don't directly affect you financially, because you need to get out of a bad financial situation. And the Jeffrey Epstein situation is not doing that at all. But at the same time, he's going to sit there and be like, Iran's not doing that, so you shouldn't care about them, but Israel's doing the Jeffrey Epstein thing, which is what? I don't know, man. Maybe my brain is a little bit too smooth for this, but realistically, I think this speech had a lot of really good notes to it. The whole sentiment of not being able to ask questions is super important. The whole sentiment of focusing on what's actually affecting America, I think, is the number one goal of every presidency, should be taking care of our people. That I think is the number one goal, and the number one priority of every politician should be focusing 100% of the time on America. But realistically, the rest of the speech was wild, and I did not see where it came from. It really, really came out of nowhere. Like, I think he's going to be running for president in 2028. You could mark my words. I think he is. I think he's preparing an anti-Trump coalition of people, and I think he is going to be running for president in 2028. All right, let's see the Q&A.
Sorry, excuse me. Do we have any hostile questions about Qatar? Yes. Well, that's so nice. Tell your mom I love her. Okay, your mom does too. Any questions? Yes, sir. What do I think about amnesty for farm workers? I think it's the most grotesque thing I've ever heard.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Are you joking? Amnesty for...
Okay, listen, I agree. I don't like amnesty for farm workers, but damn, the most grotesque thing he's ever heard. We were just talking about pedophile sex trafficker elites, okay? But this is the most disgusting... All right. No, I agree with him.
For farmer, we have like 60 million illegal aliens in the country. The country bears no resemblance to the country I grew up in, and it's not better, it's worse.
Tucker.
So I'm not going to sit for another lecture from anybody telling me we need to import more people to write code or pick grapes or any other task. Period. It hasn't worked. The country hasn't gotten richer. It hasn't become more unified. Those words should burn on the tongue of anyone who utters them. How dare you talk like that?
God damn. He just said, don't let anyone insult you for asking questions. This dude goes up and asks him a question, and he's like, how dare you? Disgusting. He pulls a Greta Thunberg. How dare you? Oh my God, that is crazy. I mean, listen, I agree with him, though. I think that anyone that enters the country illegally should be kicked out. That's the rules. That is literally the rules. There are borders. There needs to be borders. There needs to be a country. If you enter illegally, you get kicked the fuck out. This is my opinion.
Amnesty. How about deportation? It's
true.
What about that? I mean, look, and
true.
Let me just say.
I agree.
People say all kinds of things. It doesn't mean it's happening, but I think it's worth being a little paranoid about it. I mean, I think everyone in this room is paranoid. It's important to make sure even the people you love are true to their word. Doesn't mean you hate them. Again,
True.
I don't take my kids at their. I love my kids more than anything. I don't automatically believe everything they tell me because I'm not a moron.
True.
Because
all in all, I like Trump. I like what Trump did for the first 6 months of his presidency. I think he did a lot of crazy good shit. This Jeffrey Epstein thing ain't it, brother. It ain't it, and I'm never gonna let go. I am never gonna let go of this shit. It is diabolical.
Understand that people don't always say the truth. So, but anyway, yeah, any kind of amnesty is not only a bad idea, it's like outrageous. Anyway, sorry, I've been told to take the mics. I'm sorry, I know you guys have good provocative questions about Qatar, but I've been asked to talk to this guy.
How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm spun up, baby.
First off, I'd like to thank you for coming to this event. I'm 20 years old. I've been watching you for the past 12 years of my whole life, every single night. I've always listened to you, so thank you for coming. We love to listen to your opinions, listen to you preach basically to everyone. My question is, in your opinion, we have individuals in this country that are full citizens that are also full citizens of other countries.
Brother, that's called a dual citizen. Okay.
In your opinion, how can somebody pledge allegiance to two countries at the same time? And is that something that we should be allowing?
I mean, I think your question says it all. Obviously, that's absurd. I quote the New Testament, but I also refer to common sense when I say that no man can serve two masters. It's not possible.
You don't believe in dual citizenship, bro? Okay, listen, I'm a dual citizen. I'm Canadian and American. No one's perfect, I know. But yeah, this is crazy, bro. How could someone have parents from different countries? Yeah, I don't know. That is definitely a wild take, for sure. I don't see anything wrong with having dual citizens, in my opinion. But I guess, hey, I'm absurd, I guess.
I only have one wife for that reason.
What? First of all, according to the Bible, you can have more than one wife, in case you were curious. Didn't Jacob have 4 wives? Listen, I'm just saying. Abraham had 2 wives. Look, man, if we're going purely biblical here, I don't know where. And also, is your wife your master, bro? Like, bro, we could dig into this guy forever.
You say to your wife, I'm going to take another wife, but I'm going to love you just as much. Nothing's going to change. My wife's going to look at me like, no, it's one wife. Because you can only really pledge your loyalty to one person or one country. That's just a fact. And there's also a sense, and this is relevant.
I don't know. I find this to be an interesting take because I think that nationalism is beautiful, but nationalism is not everything. While I do love America, I absolutely love America with my whole heart. I would not say that I am like a hardcore, pure nationalist that I would defend America when America does things wrong. Like, for example, when America comes out there and is like, yo, trans people in women's sports, I think this is the easiest one to get behind. I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's absurd. This is absurd and immoral and disgusting. And, that's my opinion. And realistically, in my opinion, humbly speaking, I think you're allowed to be a citizen of 2 countries. I don't know why dual citizen is controversial. However, you know what I will say? I don't think dual citizens should be allowed to hold public office. I don't think they should be allowed to be a mayor. I don't think they should be allowed to be a governor, a senator, a president. I think should be banned. I think you should be denouncing all other citizenships if you actually are running for public office. But just as a person with look, one of my parents is American, one of my parents is Canadian, and that's why I'm a dual citizen. And that, I don't know. It doesn't mean I'm pledging allegiance to separate countries that are at war.
To me, and I know you're speaking about Israel, but it's not just...
How do you know that? How do you know? Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my Lord! How does it always get there?
Israel, to be honest, I think that's a huge problem. I think anybody, by the way, who serves in a foreign military should lose his citizenship immediately. There are a lot of...
in my opinion, I don't agree with that either, because you're allowed to volunteer in different armies all the time, especially if it's a army that is of a country that's an ally of your country. You see, if you decided to join Hamas, I think that, yeah, you should lose your citizenship because that is a army that is antithetical to America. However, if you're going to join, let's say, the Canadian Army or the British Royal Army or volunteering in Ukraine or in Israel, they are allied nations, and I don't think that necessarily should mean you lose your citizenship.
Americans who've served in the IDF, they should lose their citizenship. There's a lot of Americans who've served in Ukraine.
That's crazy. Serving in the IDF is done by a lot of people. I actually know some people that are American that served in the IDF. They basically go to Israel after high school. They spend a year just kind of doing basic training in the IDF, and then they leave. It's a year break after high school that a lot of American Jews do. I don't know why that means you should lose your citizenship, but okay.
Ukraine, and they should lose their citizenship. You can't fight for another country and remain an American.
Again, I don't know why that's the case.
Period.
But okay, all right. You have the right to that opinion, sir. I just think that it doesn't really make sense.
Obviously. I mean, it's like not even, it's so funny how all of us have been cowed into being like, oh, that's hate speech. No, it's not.
Hate speech? Why does he always go that path? He's like, he'll say something like, I don't like Israel. Now people are going to say I don't like Israel about. People are going to call me anti-Semitic. Bro, no one's doing that, all right? Chill out, bro.
Don't hear hate in my voice.
You fighting ghosts out here.
Because there isn't any. It's just an obvious recognition of the truth. But there's a more insidious thing.
So let me get this straight. If someone serves for a year, because we all know he's talking about Israel, in the IDF, right? Just to do basic training in the IDF for a year after high school, they should lose their American citizenship, and they're not a citizen of any other countries. So what are they, just kind of float around there? Not a citizen to any nation?
And I say it's not just Israel. I'm not just trying to like give myself cover.
Yeah, we know it. We know what you mean. All right, dude. You started off by saying, I know you're talking about Israel. Oh my God. Just Bud, thanks for the 10 subs. Like, I agree with Tucker Carlson if you're joining a military that's an enemy of America, but if you're joining a military that's allied with America, that is retarded.
Being honest, there are a ton of countries that offer citizenship, actually, some of which I love. I have been offered citizenship in a couple different countries that I really like, and I thought about it. And then I thought, no, there's something about being lashed to the mast. Like, everyone can see that America's in trouble, the demographic trends are really bad, and the country's decaying, its cities are falling apart. So you're like, oh, wow. You know, maybe I should flee. And then I'm like, my ancestors are from here. My parents are buried right across from my kitchen. I'm staying here. And the second you make that decision in your head, like, I don't care what happens to America, I will be here. It totally changes your attitude. You're like,
I don't actually see what that has to do with the question, but okay.
I don't even care. It's my country. And they've been here for so long and fought in all of these wars. My ancestors, and I'm sure yours, would be totally shocked by some of the conversations. Foreign flags in the Congress? Are you joking?
See, I do agree with that, by the way. I actually do agree with that. See, I think that if you're part of the Congress or part of the government or taking a place working for your country, I do think that you should not have other citizenships. You should not be flying foreign flags. You should be dedicated to America and only America. That I agree with. But, damn.
Get out! And so...
Also, your ancestors were British citizens, probably. Or citizens from some other country.
No. Once you decide you're all in on your country, it really changes the way you approach everything. And by the way, it should be the baseline requirement. You shouldn't be allowed to serve in government if you're not a U.S. citizen.
See, that I completely agree with. That I absolutely agree with. I think that if you are serving in the U.S. government, you should be dedicated to the U.S. government and the United States people, the American people only. That I agree with.
Or you're a dual citizen? Are you joking?
I agree with that.
Of course not.
He's right.
And I would love to know what the justification...
That I agree with. The other thing, it's like what? Oh, are you volunteering in another country that's an ally of ours? You lose your citizenship immediately. I cannot believe it. Are you mowing lawns in Israel? Oh, you lose your citizenship. Diabolical.
...is, and of course there isn't one, which is why they're allowed to just write you off as some sort of like freak, some internet freak, hater, Nazi, whatever. No, I'm not. Just an American who loves my country, and I think it's fair to demand that the people...
Just an American who loves my country, specifically most of my country, because if you're Jews... kidding.
Running my country love it every bit as much as I do.
All right.
Alrighty, Tucker. Thank you for being here today. My question is mainly focused on national security. I have a question first and then a proposal. I'll see how you go about that.
Now you're freaking me out. You got a Rumble hat on. I love you already. All right. I'm going to stop and have an Alp, which is America's premier nicotine powder.
Go for it. Bro. Alrighty. So I was born in Cuba. I came at the age of 2. So I can attest to the fact that the socialist experiment doesn't work at all.
Yep.
And that America is the best country in the world.
Yep.
So
I agree.
You know.
All right. Hell yeah.
I'm a U.S. citizen, and I'm very proud of that. And that's why I stand for my country every day. But I have a question specifically about national security.
All right, hit me with it, baby. No preamble, just go right to it. You can't scare me.
So, for example, I would say that the head of the snake for a lot of the spying that goes on in the United States
let's see, Israel?
Is Cuba.
Oh, okay.
For example, we've found evidence that Venezuela.
He's thrown off guard completely. He was like, a question that's not about Israel?
Nicaragua, like all the issues with immigration are because of the socialism going on in Latin America.
Yes.
And Cuba's an outpost for human trafficking, drug trafficking. We have Chinese spy bases on the island. We had Russian missile testing under Biden. And then on top of that, Cuba doesn't even recognize Gitmo as American territory. So my question for you is, what should the United States stance be on Cuba and the liberation thereof? And my proposal is, if you're willing to do some sort of documentary on Cuba, and if I could help you out on that.
I always appreciate the offer of assistance. I would say we've had a Cuba embargo. So the revolution was 1959. So that was, 60. Could that really be 66 years ago? That's crazy. And we've had an embargo for much of that time. And you just said yourself, it hasn't worked. It hasn't liberated Cuba. The same regime is in charge. And it is still, working to undermine the interests of the United States. So what we're doing isn't working. I think that's a good place to start. So I know from living in DC that whenever someone tells you it's not working, we need to double down on it, they're lying.
Yikes.
So I think we need to reassess, are sanctions really the answer?
Yeah, I think he's right.
And if so, tell me how that's worked. Second, I would say, I'm sure everything you say is true. I don't think that most Americans, and I know the US government doesn't, spend a lot of time thinking about our own hemisphere because we're so focused on places like Iran, Iraq.
Oh my God,
Syria,
he has a problem.
Libya, Gaza, Israel. All great places. I'm not, attacking anybody, but I'm just saying those are thousands of miles in an ocean away.
Bro, how did he get there? How did he get there? How did he get there on this line of thought? How is it possible? Like, I said it as a joke. What, do you think America doesn't spend time thinking about our hemisphere? It's because our hemisphere is more or less allies, bro. Not trying to kill us. Bro, you're the one that's constantly thinking about the other hemisphere. Oh my God.
Whereas Latin America is right there, and what happens there is a direct effect here in our
Trump literally met with the president of El Salvador. He met with the president of Argentina. He's dealing with Mexico. He sealed the border. He's put tariffs. Like, I don't understand how you could say that no one is thinking about anything here. Everyone's only thinking about the Middle East.
Migration patterns and in our drug importation. So, maybe we should focus on our own hemisphere. I think you made a powerful case for that. And I don't understand why the U.S. military is stationed in Japan, Korea. I mean, I know that you get a long answer, how we're spending $1 trillion to secure places that pose no imminent threat to us while ignoring our own continent, ignoring Mexico, which is the most hostile country in the world, the United States. Obviously, there's migrants coming through Mexico. How are they our ally?
I mean, they sealed the border. We're not going to give, congratulations, Trump, on sealing the border kind of thing.
Canada, how are they our ally? Maybe
there it is.
We should spend some time reorienting here.
51st state, baby.
Anyway, that's my answer.
Those fucking Canadians.
I'm against socialism, obviously. That's why I'm worried about our economic system. Because
I'm against socialism, obviously, unless you're a Jewish billionaire.
I think we're about to get socialism if we don't pull back from this.
Yeah, I do agree with that. Socialism is really fucking scary. We need to start enforcing the Communist Deportation Act.
All right, we got one more question.
One more question.
Hey, Tucker, I'm a big fan. I would love to work for you. I did give my resume to Steve Bannon. It would be hilarious if you two fought over me. I'm just saying. That would be great.
It'd be like a real bitchy cat fight.
It'd be a hell of a story. Yeah. My family has fought for this country. I voted MAGA 3 times. My generation, just like you said, is convinced it can't trust the institutions and the administration, even this administration after last Monday. America first means America first, not foreign governments, not rich pedophiles. I have a lot more about the history, but I'm going to get through it out of respect for everybody. Basically, my questions are this. How does anybody possibly expect us to have any trust in our government, pay taxes, accept draft orders if these elites are not held accountable, right? And how am I anti-Semitic?
How does this happen? Every single one of his questions ended up in Israel.
My great-grandfather killed Nazis, and I brag about it. My mother's doctor was a Holocaust survivor, and everyone...
My mother's doctor. I had a Jewish doctor.
One calls Trump a Nazi. My family in Chicago and my family in Ireland, which are both liberal hellholes, right? And it's pretty convenient that if he did criticize Israel, everyone could just say, look, I told you so, but that's not the point. Anyway.
What is going... This guy has to be a plant, bro. This dude has to be a plant.
And finally, and by far...
Also, Trump did criticize Israel. Remember the whole... They both don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do not drop those bombs, Israel. You don't remember that?
How am I anti-Semitic when all my sources are Jewish, Israel?
Oh my God. How is this happening? This is crazy.
Daily publications and Holocaust survivors. And
well, I don't know. I don't think you're
finally, and by far the most important, why can I burn an American flag in my country, but I get a mark by my name if I burn Israel's? Like, how?
I think that's an entirely fair question.
Of course you do. Of course you think it's a fair question. He didn't ask any question. What was his question? I know Holocaust survivors. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not anti-Semitic. I just hate Jews. And then Tucker Carlson go like, nah, bro, what are you talking? What are you? Valid points. You make a very good point. See, I think that you should not get in trouble for burning any flags because that's freedom of speech.
It's totally outrageous. You got 65 million people here illegally, according to the administration.
No, you just said 60 million.
And the only ones who are deported are ones who criticize a foreign country? I don't understand.
They deport... Oh, no, okay, bro, what are you talking about? They're not only deporting anti-Israel illegal immigrants. This is not true. Like, that is just completely not true. Huh?
It's driving people insane, actually, and it's making people angry in a bad way. And I go on, X, and I see stuff. It's like, I don't even want that in my head. I don't want that. I don't want to marinate in that. I'm a happy person. I have a great life. I love this country. I love my dogs. I love my children. I love my wife. And you go online and people are so mad. I mean, I've never seen anything like the rage online.
There are angry people out there.
And I get it. I get it. That's the worst part. I get it. People go crazy after a while.
I'm not anti-Semitic. My mother had a Jewish doctor. Chad, shut the fuck up.
You totally ignore their concerns. If you call them names rather than answering their questions, I really think we need to agree, and this would include the Department of Justice, which is running around, it's got task forces attacking people. It's like, stop. What matters in this country is not what religion, ethnicity, race you are. It's whether or not you're a U.S. citizen. Citizenship has to be the thing that holds us together as a country. We're all Americans. And this continuation of identity politics is the most destructive thing we can do.
I agree with him that the continuation of identity politics is destructive. But what does that have to do with anything you said, though?
We are all the same under the law. There is nobody, rich, poor, no matter what your religion, what your color, who's held to a different legal standard.
I agree with that. I completely agree. Yes.
Period. That has to be the rule, or else this country will fall apart into warring tribes.
My email is ryanscottcasey@gmail. If I could send you my cover letter, I really.
Ryan Scott Casey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
He tried to get the job. He's like, listen, I want to get a job. All I had to say is, I'm not anti-Semitic. I just have questions about Jews. Do I get the job? Yeah, that was crazy. I'll be real. I did not like his speech. I thought that he made a lot of good points. I thought that his conclusions were like all bad. I'll be honest. It's crazy. My analysis was going throughout. However, I do respect him saying that you should not be just silent while you just listen to what they say. Right? You can't just be quiet and accept and agree with everything. You have to actively ask questions and not you're not an idiot, and if they treat you like one, it's their problem. So, I don't know, man. When it comes to the Epstein shit, I'm obviously super disgusted by it all. I made 3 videos on it already. It's horrible. It's absolutely disgusting. I still think it's a CIA op, personally. In my opinion, I think it's a CIA op. I do think that Mossad and MI6 or MI5 or whatever was involved somehow, but I do think it's primarily a CIA thing. I've come to the conclusion lately that every single thing that's classified in the United States is the CIA. I really do. I think so. It's like, oh, we're classifying the JFK files. All right, well, that means the CIA killed him. Okay, listen, I've heard enough. You convinced me. All right, oh, we're classified. Yeah, all right, we know. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. This has been my over-analysis. Can't wait for people to call me a Mossad-funded agent in the comment section. I actually have already gotten those messages. Listen, I am all for criticizing Israel when it deserves criticism 100%, but you can't blame everything on Israel. All right, listen, you can blame a good 50% of your problems on other countries. All right, sure, whatever. But if every single problem is like, come on, bro. Like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing? Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.